Welcome back to Pickin Winners. I'm Tony. That's Nate. We've got Week 12 picks locked and loaded. We've got best bets, and we're going to sprinkle in some props along the way. Before we get into it, though, Nate, how we doing?
Doing good. Finally back on the good side of the things from this betting show.
Yeah.
The Had a pretty good week in betting. Some stuff with the tackles and all that kind of stuff have done pretty well. I think there's a little angle when you're looking at guys that are filling in for middle linebackers and looking at who their opponents are. So we did that with like Brian Cashman and a couple other guys on the Steelers as well, filling in for injured linebackers that take up 100% of the snaps essentially, and they're getting all that run, and their lines are sitting at 6.5 or even 8 against heavy run teams and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
if you're out there looking at that kind of stuff, looking at defensive injuries and what's going to be filling in for those. I think there's margin to be made because the books are looking at what these guys' aggregate averages are, or they're seeing them as lesser players. It doesn't really matter if they're lesser players. The ball's going right to them. They're going to get tackles. So there's something like that. I also put in a bet just now. Put in a bet for 16-1 Brock Purdy to win NFL MVP. He is the leader in all advanced metrics in passing, but he's sixth in, I believe it is, passing yards right now. I think he's like third or fourth in touchdowns and stuff like that. So, but everything from like an EPA standpoint, he's number one from uh, completion percentage, percentage per attempt and all that, yards per
Mm-hmm.
attempt, every single metric that says he's a good quarterback, it's out there. And if they can get through, Seattle and then get through the Philly game and win on the road at Philly, I think that he has the best shot to win MVP because he leads in every metric whatsoever. And a lot of the voters are data analytics guys, and they've talked about
Yeah.
that on shows that they're on and all that kind of stuff. Um, Other than that, but they got to get through Philly. So if they can get through Philly and they can win that game, then I think he's going to end up having a good shot at winning MVP. But 16-1 right now isn't that bad. If they get beat by Philly, Jalen Hurts would be even money. He's like minus or plus 200, 300 around there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can hedge out of it with the Jalen Hurts stuff. So um,
Yeah, I dig that, and I dig the linebacker tackle bets. Seems like a good way to catch the book slip. A lot of people aren't betting that; they're not swinging those lines one way or the other. So
yep.
I like all of that. For Week 11, here is how we fared. I went 10-4, good week, up 1 unit. I'll take it. Nate, you went 11-3,
Yeah.
back to way positive, and you're up almost 5 units.
Yeah.
So 3 out of the last 4 weeks, we've ran a profit in the green. Not bad. As for our best bets, I went CD Lamb over 82.5. That didn't hit. He caught 6 of 9 targets for just 38 yards. What the hell? The Cowboys scored 33, but they got everyone involved. Cooks, Ferguson, Gallup, Schoonmaker. He got in the end zone. Tolbert, Turpin, Dowdle, Paul, everyone chipped in this week when in previous weeks it had gone through CD and not so much everybody else. We press on, though. Nate, Rashad White, you went under 45.5 rushing yards. That hit. San Fran torched the Bucks, so obviously they went into pass mode, and White did what he always does, caught a bunch of passes. That puts you at 8-3 on the year, and you are absolutely carrying us and this show in these best bets. So
Let's go.
little golf clap for Nate
Thanks.
on that one. Well done, buddy.
It's not allowing me to pay for an editor, so I still got to be up late editing this. So we'll get there one day.
Yeah, doing a good job there. All right, let's get into these Week 12 picks. We are recording this on Wednesday. It's late on a Wednesday. Also, as a note, I grabbed these lines from FanDuel. Not going to get into why we switched. These may have shifted slightly since recording this, but it is going to be our baseline. First up, we have 3 Thanksgiving games. Green Bay at Detroit is the first one. Lions are favored by 7.5 over-unders at 46.5. What you got?
This is awesome. Like Thanksgiving is like one of the best days in America. And it's not because of getting around family and talking about who's going to win the presidency and how many indictments the former president has and whether or not this president you would allow drive a car or anything like that. Is this a politics show? I'm not sure. But we get
Nope.
football all day. You wake up here at Mountain Time, 6:30 in the morning, Thanksgiving Day parade, Macy's, New York City starts right down Fifth Avenue. You're just loving it. The Rockettes, bands, floats, everything. Once that's over, you start throwing a little bit of food in the thing. House starts to smell good. And then you got football in Detroit against the Packers. And you're going to watch the Detroit Lions beat the ever-loving shit out of the Green Bay Packers because the Green Bay Packers have nobody that is active this week. Their injury report is off the chains. No Aaron Jones. We saw what this team looked like without Aaron Jones earlier in the season. They're going to be even worse. Detroit had a close win against the Los Angeles Chargers last week. They probably should have lost it. They didn't play all that well or anything like that, but they're going home. Detroit's always super loud on Thanksgiving. Now they're the number one team in the division, and you're playing the Green Bay Packers. Imagine being the Green Bay Packers. You live in that part of Wisconsin where hearty, warm, big meals and stuff are a staple of what you do. But now you got to go on the road to Detroit. That's a destination city. And you're terrible. One of the worst teams in the NFL. The Lions are one of the best teams in the NFL. This is completely depressing. They're going to get smacked. Jared Goff's going to have 3 turkey legs. The Detroit Lions by a landslide.
Yeah, I'm hesitant to give Detroit anything here after a four turnover game last week against the Bears. It was the Chargers the previous week.
Oh,
but
the
that
Bears.
game, they almost lost, yeah. But this is Green Bay. They're 19th in offensive efficiency, 24th on defense. Goff needs to take care of the football. If he does that, I think Detroit wins it easy and covers easy. I've also got the Lions.
Oh, yeah, they did barely.
Next matchup. Yeah, barely. They had to come back there at the end. Down 2 scores right in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yep.
Next game, Washington at Dallas. So the Cowboys favored by 12.5, over under pretty high. It's at 48.5. What you got?
I honestly think that this number is too big at 12.5. It's moved up. It was at like 10.5, 9.5 when it opened. And the Cowboys keep getting money on them, and I don't understand why. Washington can move the ball. Their wide receivers can move the ball. Maybe it's because they got a guy who's tied the NFL record for pick sixes, and we got 7 games to go, so he's got a chance to beat that record. I think he has to get it by 2 in order to have a shot at being like Defensive Player of the Year or anything like that. I think you got to like smash it. Like if you beat that record by 2, not just 1, by 2, I mean, that's like 50% more than what anybody else did. So, I think Washington can keep it close. There's like 2 games on here with big favorites that I think have a legit shot to lose, and Dallas might be one of them.
Damn it.
But I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys to win this. But it wouldn't be out of the realm for the Washington Commanders to somehow win a game on a short week against the Cowboys after the Cowboys just got done, winning a ball game last week by a significant margin. Something is like Ron Rivera somehow keeps a job because he beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day or something like that. It's like the worst of all scenarios. This dude should be out of the league. They're a terrible team. He's a terrible coach. But they throw the heck out of the ball, and anytime Sam Howell's throwing the ball, at a line of 39.5 this week, not attacking that. That's a little too much. If it was 36, it would do that. But I think he still gets over it. I wouldn't bet it, but I'll take the Dallas Cowboys to win.
Yeah, Dallas defense to score plus 370. That's an anytime score on FanDuel. Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel in the same territory at 340 and 350. Pretty funny.
Yeah, I think that if they do score, it's not from an interception. It's probably from like a sack fumble or something like that because Sam Howell does hold on to the ball a little bit too long.
That's fair.
By a little bit,
That's
I mean
fair.
7 seconds.
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah, give me the Cowboys. After costing us 5.7 units last week, I refuse to speak about the Commanders at this time, so we're going to move on. I have Dallas. San Francisco, Seattle, that's the third game here on Thanksgiving. San Fran favored by a touchdown on the road. Over-unders at 42.5. What you got?
Not enough points the Niners are getting. It should be a double-digit thing. Seattle stinks. They're down Kenneth Walker. Zach Charbonnet is going to run. I kind of want to bet the under Zach Charbonnet yards, but I think Seattle's so stubborn that they'll be down 21 and they'll still run the ball. But it's at 55.5, and that's kind of a big number. I don't think that Seattle's all that great of a team. They have weapons to pass it. I think they're going to try to pass against the 49ers. The Niners get out to an early lead and then, just kind of pin their ears back and get after Geno Smith. And been saying it for 2 years. Don't think Geno Smith's good. He's Derek Anderson from the Browns, and we're going to see Derek Anderson from the Browns. And the Niners go up there. Hostile environment, short week, like everybody, obviously short week, but it's a tough place to play. It's a tough place to play for Seattle and the Niners, given their history, even though it hasn't been all that great over the last couple years. But if you look at it, the Niners played this team 3 times last year, and the margin of victory was like in Iowa Hawkeyes, Nebraska Cornhuskers, over under total. You know what that number is, Tony?
4.
28.5 is the total for Iowa, Nebraska on Friday. And because Iowa totals just go under. And the Niners beat this team by multiple touchdowns in this game.
Okay. All right. For San Fran, the band was back together. They looked good. They looked real good smoking Jacksonville 2 weeks ago, 34-3, and the Bucs last week, 27-14. I don't see Seattle covering, let alone winning the game. Doesn't help Seattle that Geno, he got banged up. He came in for that last drive, kind of a last-ditch effort, and then they won't have Ken Walker, likely out for this one, maybe one more with that oblique. I'm also taking the San Francisco 49ers. I feel pretty comfortable about that one. Moving on, we have a Friday game.
Yes.
Football on Monday, Sunday, obviously Thanksgiving, and Friday. All we need is like a COVID game in there on Saturday or Tuesday or something.
Oh, but we got rivalry week.
Talking.
We got rivalry week in college football too, so it's going to be awesome.
All right, Friday. This is they're calling this the Black Friday. I don't know if we can say that Black Friday game. Are you going to bleep that? I don't know.
They got a whole
Miami
month,
at the Jets.
Tony. They got a whole month.
Miami at the Jets. Dolphins road favorites. They get 9.5. Over unders at 40.5. What are you doing?
This is the other one that's a big favorite that I think can lose. Going on the road, tough defense. Yeah, tough defense. I get that the New York Jets offensive line is not great. They've had, I believe it's 14 different starters on that offensive line, or 14 different players play through that offensive line this year. Mm-hmm. They're going to Tim Boyle. Don't think he's any good. If he was good, he would have been the number 2 or the number 3 on the roster before. He's just not. Like, he's just there because Aaron Rodgers is gone. He wouldn't have been a guy on the roster, a practice squad guy is what he is. He stinks, but maybe there's a little juice. I don't know. I'm not going with it. I think Miami wins this game, but I think it's a lot closer than 9.5. It's scary because I like really bad teams in their spreads this week. As dogs, maybe it's a big teaser week for me. It is a nice teaser week, but teasing up instead of down, with this team getting up to 15.5. Maybe it gets to 10, so you can get to 16 and you have a chance for a push. 16 is not really a key number though. So, but I'll take Miami to win on the road, but I think it's a lot closer than what it is. Potentially an under game. I don't know how much the Jets can score. The Miami Dolphins defense is coming along pretty well too. So
it is.
But is it out of the realm that the New York Jets beat the Miami Dolphins in New York on Christmas or Thanksgiving, post Eve? I don't know. What's the day after Thanksgiving? The first day of
Black Friday.
Black Friday. Yeah. You can't say that, Tony. And it's not out of the realm, right? Like, it is what it is. But shout out to Amazon for cornering the shopping market and trying to get people out of stores by doing a game at this on this day. There is a regulation and I think a rule in the NFL thing or something like that where they won't have any games after 6 p.m. on Black Friday. I forget what the actual stipulation is. So they're playing this game earlier in the day, and it's like the middle of the day of shopping. So who knows what that turns into? I think it's a ploy. They paid $100 million for the rights to this one game.
Dropping the bucket, man, for Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, but being able to take people out of stores on Black Friday and get them to shop on Amazon, it's pretty genius. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, it's pretty detrimental to my bank account. My wife on the couch. Don't tell her I said that. Don't tell her I said that. Tim Boyle. Nate mentioned it. He's starting for the Jets. His NFL stat line, 3 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, 50.9 career passer rating. Do you want to know his college stats? Do you know them?
What? I don't know.
They're not good. They're not good.
Where'd he go?
1 touchdown
Harvard?
to 13 intercept. I don't even know where this dude went. 1 touchdown to 13 interceptions. I don't understand how he's in the NFL. For this game, though, I think the Jets are going to continue to struggle on offense. I'm taking the Dolphins. I'm kind of with you, though. I think it'll be kind of a grinded out game, but the Dolphins ultimately get the W. Not super confident that they cover, though.
Yeah. I didn't. I should have prepped for it, but if I find it, maybe we'll bring it up at the end. But there's
Okay.
a tweet post on Twitter X that. Oh, here it is. Okay, so very realistic scenario. This is from at Sauced Arod, right? Very realistic scenario. Black Friday game. Dolphins at the Jets. Season on the line. Boyle starts. 2 picks in the first quarter. Boyle bench. Simeon comes in. 2 picks in the second quarter. The chants begin. Bring back Zach. Bring back Zach. Bring back Zach. Halftime. Zach Wilson comes out with a helmet on. Crowd goes wild. Zach goes down the field and throws a touchdown. 82,000 people in MetLife are going wild. Stunned Miami doesn't know what to do. Tua turned the ball over. Zach leads another touchdown drive. The Dolphins are scrambling. Jets defense starts feasting. Jets get the ball back late in the fourth quarter. They need a touchdown to win. Zach leads a clutch game-winning touchdown. Zach's first 3-touchdown game. Jets win. The season's still alive. Uncle Aaron looks on proud. Miami questions everything. Zach Wilson regains QB1 role. This is the script.
I'm betting the Jets now, I guess.
Jet. Dude, it's going to be awesome. If we can hear Zach, we want Zach. Oh, that'd be so good. All right, let's move on. Sorry, I'm taking up too much time.
That's not going to happen. Not going to happen. All right, moving into the Sunday early games. First one, New Orleans at Atlanta. The Falcons are favored at home by 1.5. Over-unders at 42.5. What you got?
All the Sunday games are terrible to bet.
So bad.
They're so terrible to bet. The thing that scares, I'm taking New Orleans in this, but the thing that scares me is what are we going to get out of Derek Carr and or Jameis Winston? Derek Carr went out with an injury. Jameis came in, threw a couple touchdowns, but also threw a couple picks. We know what we're going to get out of him. Atlanta going back with Ritter. I don't think that's the right move for them. It sucks for our fantasy teams. But who knows what Atlanta ends up doing. I'm just going to take New Orleans. I think they're a better coached team, even though I don't think they're all that great. But they will always use Alvin Kamara. And Alvin Kamara being used is better than Bijan Robinson not being used, or Kyle Pitts not being used, or Drake London not being used. So Rashid Shaheed with a burner against man coverage, fourth quarter, right at the 2-minute warning. Desmond Ridder comes out, throws a pick. New Orleans wins.
Rashid Shaheed, lots of Chris Olave, A.T. Perry probably going to get
shout out A.T. Perry. Oh yes,
A.T. Perry. So this is a stretch where the Saints can grab the NFC South by the balls. They have 4 divisional games in the next 7 weeks, and they get Desmond Ridder this week. They should be licking their chops, that defense. They should be healthy, and we should get a heavy dose of, you mentioned Alvin Kamara, Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and I think A.T. Perry will probably play a part as well. I'm taking the Saints, not because I believe in the team. It's just I have no faith in Arthur Smith and the Falcons. Predicting an ugly game here, but on the Saints side for this one.
Yep.
Moving on now, Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Speaking of ugly games, Pittsburgh's favored by 1.5 on the road. Over-unders very low at 34.5. Rightfully so. What you got?
You know, there's this weird stat out there, Tony. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season as a head coach in the NFL.
I've never heard that.
Never heard
right?
that
once.
And they're getting the best run to have another non-losing season because 2 of the best teams in the division, right? We would think that the Steelers might be last in this division. You got Cleveland that has a tough defense. Deshaun Watson's not playing now, so now you're going through a bunch of guys who played on the Sandlot, or they're from, what is that movie with Keanu Reeves with the
Replacements?
Hardball, right? These are kids
Hardball,
are kids that are from Hardball. And that's not like a racist thing or nothing like that. They're just not kids that are looked at, right? Like they're not going to be playing NFL football. DTR stinks. PJ Walker stinks. Maybe they're good film room guys, but they're terrible. But Pittsburgh is also terrible. They fire Matt Canada. Who knows how good that's going to be? But maybe it gives a little juice to the team and the defense gets a good turnover right near the end of the game, and they win a close one, maybe by 2 points. Maybe it puts them over the edge. TJ Watt, strip sack fumble on Jake Browning, and then you're looking at Pittsburgh. They were down 5, or let's say they're down 4. They get the 6. They're going to go for 2, so they can just go up 4, force them to, do a whatever you want to call it, a touchdown to win the ball game rather than tie it with a field goal. And they don't get it, and they win a game by 2. Ugly.
What is What was the song in that movie? The picture, I can see him doing the dance. Um,
I
in
love it when you
Hardball.
call me Big
That's the one.
Papa. Wave your hands in there, dude. That's
Yeah.
that's the my favorite soundtrack from all movies in cinema. Like it's the best that's out there. Just go download it on Spotify. Hardball soundtrack, not a sponsor. Um, yeah,
Yeah, good stuff. I don't know how you can get behind the Bengals this week with the backup quarterback, injured T. Higgins, and I think Jamar Chase is banged up, and also the underwhelming defense. 22nd ranked defense in efficiency. Maybe there's a bump here with Matt Canada for the Steelers, removed, fired from play calling, like maybe like a field goal, like a 3-point bump. I don't know. But I think that would be enough to take down the backup Bengals. I'm taking the Steelers. Sorry, Nick, about your season tickets.
yeah.
Um,
He can't even pay people to take those tickets now.
right, right. Next matchup, Carolina at Tennessee. Titans are favored at home by 4. Over under is another low one. It's at 37. What you got?
Barf. Tennessee Titans, just because Carolina is so incompetent, they can't score touchdowns. I think Tennessee can score one touchdown in this game and win.
That's all it will take.
That's all
Yeah.
that's going to take. One touchdown comes through the ground. Cold weather in Tennessee as opposed to in the Carolinas and stuff like that. I think you can get a heavy dose of Derrick Henry in this game. Carolina's decent against the run. They're not bad, but they're just not good at all. They don't have roster talent. They're not gelling well. But I will take Tennessee to win.
Lots of confidence in these picks for Sunday morning.
Yeah.
I'd love to abstain from a few of these, like this one, the next two, the previous one. But Carolina's given up 129 yards per game on the ground. That's exactly what Mike Vrabel wants to do. If the Titans can get Derrick Henry going on the ground, I think they win this game pretty easily. I'm like Nate here. I'm cautiously taking the Titans at home.
Mm-hmm.
Next ugly matchup, Tampa Bay at Indy. Colts are favored at home by 2.5. Over unders a little higher. It's at 43.5. What you doing with this one?
This cues another bet that I made earlier that I'm remembering right now. Indianapolis Colts to make the playoffs. It sounds crazy. They're 5-5. There's 7 games left. But when you look at their schedule, there's 4 to 7 winnable games, right? They got to play their division, obviously. But they have a lot of home games within this stretch. And it's fine. I think Tampa Bay stinks. They can't run the ball, and they're going to be able to pass on Indianapolis. I don't think Indianapolis could stop the pass. They've done it the last couple weeks since I've talked about how bad their secondary is. But
can either of these teams stop the pass?
None of them can, right? But Tampa also can't stop the run either. So I think you get a heavy dose of that. Jonathan Taylor, Gardner Minshew, he's serviceable. He's fine. He's a veteran. He knows where to put the ball. He'll make some mistakes here and there, but if you tell me who's overall going to get a team to win, I think you take the Indianapolis Colts offensive line with Jonathan Taylor and Gardner Minshew over Tampa's offensive line, Baker, and all the pass catchers, right? They have good pass catchers, but I just don't.
Good pass catchers.
The fact that you can't run the ball means that you're going to pass, and when teams know what you're going to do because you can't do one other thing, you tend to lose football games, and that's what's been happening in Tampa Bay.
So on the topic of the Bucs stopping the run, not stopping the run, across the last 3 weeks, the Bucs have the second best rushing defense, giving up just 70 yards a game. They're 6th on the year against the rush. I think that's the recipe to get a road win here. If Tampa can shut down the run with Jonathan Taylor, force a couple errant throws, have some success of their own on the ground, which I know, Nate, that's a lot to ask for. But Indy over the last 3 has allowed the second most rushing yards per game at 155. If there's a spot to do it for Rachaad White, maybe this is the spot. I don't know. I'm taking Tampa, so this is the first one we're on opposing ends of. There's a few of them, but yeah, give me the Bucs for this one. Not a lot of confidence there, though.
Yeah.
Next matchup, Patriots at the Giants. God, New England favored by 3.5 on the road. Over-under is despicable. It's at 33.5. What do you got?
The Tommy DeVito story is really nice and fun. He beat the Washington Commanders. That's why Ron Rivera deserves to be fired because he lost. He got swept by the worst team in football this year in the division. But we're getting the New England Patriots off of a bye. I think that as much, I mean, this is for what, the number 1 overall pick, potentially, right, in the league, like them,
Could be,
maybe
yeah.
Arizona if they can't win any more games. But um, I don't think New England's a team who prides themselves on having the number one overall pick. So I think that New England wins this game in MetLife. Um, I think they're not much of a better team, but they're a better coached.
No.
They're a better coached team. They have, I don't know, like they're just better. They're better up front. Like I can't find a reason to want to pick and bet the New York Giants in anything other than just being the worst team that's ever walked the planet Earth. Worse than that totally defeated Detroit Lions team. Like you would take that
Mhm.
team to beat this team by like 15 points. Like that's how bad this team is. It was good for a week. It's not good for this week. I'll take New England.
I don't want to take either of these teams to win this game, Nate. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
That is the problem. New England's been so bad. It's just so uncharacteristic of a Belichick coach team. You got Bill O'Brien yelling at poor Mac Jones. Kind of feel bad for him, but he sucks. Bailey Zappi does the fake spike throws into triple coverage, causing the game. Like, do you start cutting? Like, I don't know what you do.
Yeah.
I really don't know what you do if you're the Patriots here. They're missing a lot of pieces on defense. Matthew Judon, he's a big piece. He's not playing, so that hurts. Patriots are favored to win this game. Kind of a joke this season. They're 26th on offense in DVOA, 14th defense. I guess that's respectable, middle of the pack. 29th on special teams. Again, uncharacteristic of a Belichick team. I don't trust Mac Jones. I don't trust Bailey Zappi. I don't know what the hell was it, Malik Cunningham. I don't know what he is.
Terrible.
So I just don't. I don't trust the defense. I'm not trusting them as the favorites. I also don't trust the Giants, but I feel like they have some momentum. I feel like their defense is at least playing better. They're getting some pressure. So I'm going to go with the Giants. I'm going with Tommy DeVito. His mom's doing his laundry, cooking him dinner, folding his clothes, making his bed. He has a lot more time to study game film. So I think I'm on board there. I think he's Italian, so that works for me. We got that going on. So give me this goddamn Giants. It's disgusting.
I
I don't like it.
do like the Giants as a teaser, and this is another one where I like the Giants getting the hook over a field goal, getting 3.5 too. It's gross, but it's like what makes them really much better, right? But I can't find something that I like about the Giants, and I can't really find something that I like about New England. So who would I rather
No,
give the pick to?
There's so little to latch onto, right, and paint a picture for one side or the other. This matchup is probably one of the hardest ones to pick all season, but it doesn't even matter. Like, it's not going to cost us anything if we lose.
If
So,
it
whatever.
if it really weren't for fantasy football, like if we didn't play fantasy football and need to worry about like start sits at an hour and a half before kickoff
Yeah.
of the early games, we could just sleep in on Sunday. Just like, hey babe, let's go do something this morning. Let's go for a walk. Let's go watch a movie. Like I don't even want to be on my phone type of thing, right? Like checking scores.
Are people picking out Christmas trees? Maybe it's
Yeah.
a good time to take the family to Christmas tree farm.
Yeah,
Tell
definitely.
your wife, yeah, I'm not watching football, babe.
Yeah,
We're gonna go
this
pick out a tree.
day
This is you.
is
This
our
tree's
day,
for you.
babe. Our day. Yeah, give it up this Sunday.
So terrible. All right, let's move on. Jacksonville at Houston. This will be a good one. Probably the only one worth watching. Jaguars favored by 1.5 on the road. Over/under is very high. It's at 47.5. What do you got for this one?
It took a big fat white fullback to return a kickoff for a touchdown and a bunch of turnovers from the Jacksonville Jaguars for the Houston Texans to beat them at home in Jacksonville this last time. I don't think that's going to happen. Jacksonville's defense, granted, got blown out by the Niners, but just like how Denver Broncos got blown out by Miami and put up 70 points on them, throw the game out. It is what it is. It's not the norm. And Jacksonville came out last week showing, hey, we're still a good ball club. Zay Jones is playing as long as he doesn't get kicked off the field for, all his legal troubles and all that kind of stuff. Calvin Ridley's going to eat against this Houston Texans secondary. I think that Jacksonville goes in there and lays a whooping. I like the Jacksonville 1.5 as well.
Do you think it helps that Jacksonville got a chance to see like the varsity, Kyle Shanahan and all of that? And now they get D'Amico Ryan and Slowick.
Yeah.
It's going to be basically a diet version of that, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it helped seeing that 2 weeks ago?
Maybe a little bit.
Coming into this matchup?
Maybe a little bit.
I feel like it does.
Yeah.
I feel like it does for sure. But the Jaguars got punched in the mouth, the stomach, kicked in the ribs, kicked in the nuts, all of the above against the 49ers a couple weeks ago. I think they responded well last week, and no doubt they see Houston in their rearview mirror, chasing them for the AFC South. I like the Jaguars, especially considering Zay Jones is back. We spoke on the recap about he opens up the offense, maybe allows Calvin Ridley to move around a little bit. Maybe that's what it is. I really haven't watched the all 22 on it yet. That's on the to-do list, but can't explain that. It's definitely happening. Taking the Jaguars in this one. I just like them to kind of, be the big brother here against Houston.
Yeah.
Going to be fun though, having Lawrence and CJ Stroud in the future though. That'll be a fun little dynamic going forward.
Yep.
Moving on to the Sunday afternoon games. First one, Cleveland at Denver. I'm going to be at that game freezing my ass off. Terrible decision. I don't know why we did it. Denver's favored by 1.5 at home. Over-under's disgusting. 36.5. Going to be a lot of field goals. What you got?
What colors are you wearing? Don't say orange, because are you going to go for the Broncos or are you going to go for the Browns?
I am wearing lots of layers, some jackets, some waterproof shit with my Aaron Donald jersey on top of that. So blue. I think y'all wear the blue jersey.
You should root for the Broncos. It'll be a lot more fun in this game because the Broncos are going to win this game. Cleveland has an outstanding defense. They're the number one DVOA rated defense in the NFL. They're fantastic, but they don't have anybody who can throw a forward pass on this team, and it took a lot of turnovers to win a ball game last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who none of us think are good, and they only scored a couple points, like 2-0. It's basically what it felt like, right? But coming to Mile High, they deal with cold weather in Cleveland as well, but you don't deal with it at altitude. You don't deal with a rowdy fan base that's against you in that cold weather like that. Thanksgiving weekend, the Broncos are kind of on a roll. They have a shot to make the playoffs. I don't think that they do, but they're on the outside looking in. Russ is cooking. They're getting more comfortable with the Sean Payton offense, excuse me. And everybody's getting involved. You see P. Ryan getting involved, McLaughlin getting involved, Javonte Williams doing his thing. Cortland Sutton is a monster of a wide receiver. Jerry Jeudy's finally catching a couple passes. I mean, Cortland Sutton could be 6 yards outside of the end zone. He'll still get his feet down, I'll tell you that. And I don't think anybody on the Cleveland defense could do that. But, you can just see it right now. You got the Denver Broncos. It's getting to twilight time. Sun's going down. You're seeing the Purple Mountain Majesty, right? That's about Colorado and the Rocky Mountains. Purple Mountain's Majesty is going on. It's nice and cold. There's snow on the ground. And everybody, PJ Walker, DTR, whoever's playing quarterback, maybe Deshaun Watson with the left arm, I don't know, throw an incomplete pass, and everybody, after the announcer says, and that is another DTR, incomplete, 80,000 fans going nuts. It's going to be hard for them to play. It's probably going to be boring. Maybe the Browns just say, hey, we're going to run the ball. Screw it. No passing plays. We're going back to the 1920s. Run the ball every play. Let's get out of here. Hope we can make a stop, and we can win with a field goal. 3-0. Denver Broncos win anyways. Gross. I don't want to watch it. I'll probably watch it because I like the Broncos and their players on that team, and I root for them. But, gross. So sorry you have to go to it.
Dude, it's going to be so cold. The fans are going to be rowdy. Like, they're going to be making noise. They're going to be moving around. So looking forward to that. Only hope Cleveland has in this game is on the ground. Kind of mentioned that the Broncos have given up 143 per game over the last 3 and 160 a game on the season, which is the worst in the NFL. The concern is on any drive, if the Browns get behind the sticks, they'll need DTR to throw, and he's not ready, and the weather's going to be absolute dog shit. Looking at the forecast, like mid-20s is the high. So it's going to be, colder than that. There's going to be some wind, possible snow. It's going to be terrible. I'm giving the edge to the Broncos, and they've won 4 straight, taking down the Chiefs and the Bills in there. So taking the Broncos again. I don't know why we decided to go to a game in late November. Terrible decision.
We talked about that
Terrible,
when you
terrible
said you were
decision.
going to that game, and I was like, "Oh, that's going to be cold." And then it was warm for like a week and a half, and then just this week it's like, "Oh yeah, by the way,
Yeah,
it's going to be 20 degrees."
dude, it was like mid 60s today.
Yeah, and
Mid
tomorrow it's
60s
supposed
today.
to snow, and it's
Yeah. Yep.
it's
All
the
right.
holiday season, and hoop de doo, hickory dock.
It's not yet. Not yet. We got Thanksgiving to get through
Horseshit,
first.
your tree's up.
Next matchup. I am decorated. Next matchup: Rams at the Cardinals. Rams are favored by 1.5. Over under is at 44.5. What you got?
I wish I would have picked this after knowing that Cooper Kupp's likely not to play in this game, because now I think that the Rams are going to win. I'm picking the Cardinals still. They should have beaten the Houston Texans last week. They had every opportunity to do so, and they didn't do it. I think they do it here against the Rams. The Rams are in shambles. The Rams have a lot of really young players, but they also have a really young coach who puts their team in the worst positions to even compete in games. Watch a Rams game. What happens on first down? Run the ball. What happens on third down? Run the ball. What happens at the goal line? They have first and goal. Run, run, run. There's no creativity in this offense. It's all the same stuff, and it doesn't work. Sean McVay is the worst coach. Like, he is on the level of Ron Rivera. He's on that level.
So wrong.
He is terrible. Like, you're going to tell me, we talked about Staley right before in one, maybe it was one of the recaps, or maybe it was this, about how you want to see Staley be a defensive coordinator somewhere because he's not fit to be a head coach. Be a defensive coordinator somewhere where he doesn't have Aaron Donald. He doesn't have all these other Von Miller, and Jalen Ramsey, and every stacked player on the defense and what he can do. I want to see what Sean McVay does as, I don't know, just a regular old coach without every superstar on his team and everything like that. So I think Sean McVay puts this team in a worse position than Jonathan Gannon does to win games. And that's why I'm going to pick the Arizona Cardinals. This opened up as Cardinals -1.5, and it's flipped 3 points towards the Rams. I get it, and I understand why, but I don't believe it.
How quickly we forget that McVay took this team without, so Sans, Cooper Kupp, Sans one of Todd Gurley's knees, to the freaking Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. And it's only because of Vic Fangio's defense figuring them out a couple weeks prior that the fucking Patriots beat them.
Yep.
They would have won that game if not for that Vic Fangio game. So,
but that's the problem is everybody runs that defense now.
With Nate there.
Everybody runs that defense now, and Sean McVay does the same shit. Like, there's nothing to address what is happening.
Everybody runs it, and the Rams went back to the Super Bowl with another quarterback and won the damn thing. Come on, man. They're lacking a lot of talent on defense. They're lacking any talent on offensive line, any depth there. And they're winning football games somehow. Like, I thought this was going to be a 2-win team. They might, I don't know.
They won game because nobody can kick in Seattle.
Yeah, he's better than what Nate's giving him credit. Don't listen to Nate here. This is
terrible.
Hogwash. He's on the recap. Nate talked about being an internet troll. That's what's going on right here.
It is not.
Don't listen
this
to
is
him.
The truth. You look at data and numbers of what it takes to be successful in the league, from what type of plays you run in certain situations. Sean McVay does everything the opposite. And if Cooper Kupp is on the field, he gets every target. Although you had a guy with 1,000 yards in like 7 games as a rookie wide receiver, lighting the league up, going to catch 150 balls, and now he's no part of the offense because Cooper Kupp's back, and you got to get all the whites involved. And they got a new white, apparently, that I found out about on Twitter.
Trammell, yeah, I sent you a picture.
Jesus Christ.
It's hilarious. All right, enough trolling. I'm also with the Cardinals. Kupp's not playing. Nakua's even banged up. He's like limited so far in practice. Stafford's banged up. He was forced out of that game, I believe, last week. So Rams are just in a tough spot. Again, defense is super young. Aaron Donald's good. He can't do it all. He can't cover people on the outsides, right? He can't play linebacker. Mm-hmm. There's only so much you can do on the interior. I feel like they're a little depleted on the offensive line. On the defense, obviously at receiver, sans Cooper Kupp. Tyler Higbee's not right. He's not really getting involved in the offense. So I'm just going with the Cardinals. I feel like they're going to win some games this year. They're not going for the number 1 pick, Caleb Williams type thing. They're too good for that. Kyler's too good for that. So taking the Cardinals. Moving on now, Kansas City at Las Vegas. The Chiefs are favored by 8.5 over under. surprisingly high for a Chiefs game. It's at 44.5. What you got?
The under.
I definitely have the under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, there's a lot to be made about the Chiefs and not being able to score in the second half. I don't think they've scored a single point in the second half of the last 3 NFL football games.
It's weird.
Yeah, the team's obviously not an offensive team. They've been a defensive team the entire year. Travis Kelce's all banged up. He's talking about retirement. He's down in Buenos Aires or wherever he's at for, his bye week, which I don't care about. That's fine. Do whatever you want to do on your bye week. It just seems like a really far place to go. But, whatever. You got time off. Take your time off and do your thing. But he's openly talking about retirement again and all this kind of stuff. I think that he goes and retires after this season potentially too. But
maybe.
We're starting to see the Kansas City Chiefs feel the wrath of the Patrick Mahomes contract. They had guys around him in the first year that they had it, and they had some guys who were able to make some plays. They don't have guys who can make plays anymore on this offense. But the Raiders also don't have guys who can make plays on their offense. They have Devontae Adams, but everybody knows that. And then you stop the run with Josh Jacobs, which I think that Kansas City will be able to do. Makes them one-dimensional. Aiden O'Connell coming from behind, I don't think that that's going to be as good as, Jalen Hurts coming from behind and the Philadelphia Eagles offense and their line. Las Vegas just doesn't have it. They played well against Miami. Maybe the spread is a little bit too much just from Las Vegas might be able to hold them down some points. I think Las Vegas is a good teaser team. It's on the road, but this is probably one of those spots where you don't want to bet against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. And that sounds weird after the season they've had, but at some point the offense has to click. And at that point is when they allow Kadarius Toney to run 60% of routes, catch balls, and win the ball game. Because he can catch footballs. He dropped one pass the opening week and then had lingering injuries. They said they've been working him back, but he's back there returning punts now full time. So he's getting involved in that, all that kind of stuff. I think we see Kadarius Toney come out game against the Las Vegas Raiders because everybody else is dropping balls. And the guy's got to get involved at some point because he's too dynamic of a player not to get involved. I'll take the Chiefs to win in Las Vegas, but I like the Raiders with the points.
Nice. The contract thing, that's all fake. Like they just convert a lot of that to signing bonuses or whatever every year. So they save like 10 to 15 million every single year. The big number is just, it's fake every year for every team and every quarterback that has that fat contract. So you see it from every team. They're still making 50 mil a year, but they convert a lot of it and it's just fake. It doesn't mean all that much. For this game though, I think the Chiefs can play stiff enough defense to force AOC, not Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or whatever her name is, Aiden O'Connell to throw. And I don't think the Raiders want the game on his shoulders. I've been championing the Chiefs' efficient play all year, and they almost pulled off the win against Philly if MVS catches that goddamn pass. But that's not what MVS does. They've been playing efficient all year. The Chiefs have on both sides of the ball. That's kind of the picture I'm painting for this matchup. Good football on both sides for KC to get a road win. Taking the under. Should be pretty low scoring, though, as have most of, I think, pretty much like all but one or two of the Chiefs games this season been. But moving on, this will be another good one. Buffalo at Philly. Playoff type matchup, though. The Bills might not make the playoffs. Eagles are favored at home by 3, over-unders at 47.5. We got
a lot. Josh Allen gets shit on so much. And yes, the dude makes mistakes. And some of those mistakes can cost his team wins. But at the same time, the only reason that this team is competitive is because of Josh Allen. Nobody really talks about all the great things that he does in games. They just highlight the 1 or 2 passes that are interceptions or a fumble because he's trying to run the ball and all this kind of stuff and make plays. But I think that, they got a rough schedule coming up, the Buffalo Bills.
They do.
Philly has a rough schedule coming up also. Philly's just got done playing Monday night in Kansas City. Big emotional win, I guess you could say, getting over that hump from the Super Bowl and all that kind of stuff, right? Classic letdown spot for these guys because next week They got bang bang Niner game coming into Philadelphia for fucking revenge and to get an ass whooping, and they're gonna get an ass whooping here against the Buffalo Bills. Looking ahead, thinking, hey, maybe we could just get by in this game or something like that. Philly hasn't played like a really complete game. I think Jalen Hurts is still hurt. To be honest, he toughs it out for like a quarter every game, but he's not the same player that he was last year. In the Chiefs game, they didn't even do any of that brotherly shove or tush push stuff until like damn near the fourth quarter. And they had 4th and 1s, and they're going in the shotgun, 3rd and 1 going shotgun with DeAndre Swift losing 5 yards, in a shotgun run, and he's dancing around. They just don't look right. Everybody's down on Buffalo. They still got talent. The problem is that Buffalo keeps losing defensive players, which is going to be really hard because they lost Taylor Rapp also, and they're already down Micah Hyde. They're down Milano at the linebacker position. They're getting really thin, but I think that they can do enough on offense to end up combating what Philadelphia could do on defense and what their offense can do. Kansas City Chiefs don't score a lot of points. Buffalo Bills score a lot of points, capable of scoring a lot of points any given Sunday, and they're going to score a lot of points this given Sunday, and they're going to go into Philadelphia, get a win, and maybe Sean McDermott yells something in the state, walking through the what do you call that? The tunnel going back to the locker room, just like Sirianni does. Maybe he gives them a good old "see ya," something like that. So, not you, Siri.
The problem with losing all those pieces on defense, you can replace those guys on the field, but like you're not going to replace the production. Like some of those guys are Pro Bowl type players at like all 3 levels. Yeah. So that's tough, and I think that's why we've seen the Bills struggle, kind of in the middle part of the season. So the Bills they're in a rough spot, 6-5. You mentioned they got Philly, Kansas City, Dallas on the schedule. They also have Miami in Week 18. Mm-hmm. That could be for a playoff spot. Not great. I'm not sure who gets shit canned when they miss the playoffs this year, but got a hankering suspicion his name rhymes with Thrawn McSchmermit. Does that rhyme? I don't even know if it rhymes.
Oh, so good.
But if Philly can stuff the run, the Eagles are first in the league in rushing yards allowed, so they're capable. Get a couple of Josh Allen turnovers. He's known for being a little careless with the ball. I think the Eagles can win and cover in this game. I'm taking Philly, although I do think they should have lost that game to the Chiefs. You can't drop that ball, MVS. Come on. He got hit in the hands. That still bothers me. I'm triggered.
Or Travis Kelce fumbling inside the red zone.
Or Travis Kelce
like that,
fumbling.
Right? So
yeah, just a couple small things. So maybe I should be on the Bills.
Yep.
Sticking with the Eagles. Moving on, Sunday Night Football, first primetime game here. Baltimore at the Chargers. I think this will be a good game. Ravens are favored by 3.5 on the road. Over-under's relatively high. It's at 46.5. Who you got?
I don't think this is a close game at all. I get that the Chargers can put up points and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But Baltimore's going to run it down their damn throats. And it's going to take the ball away from the Chargers and them getting into rhythm. And all it takes is 1, 2, 3 and outs. 1 or 2. I've been drinking cola. I ate a whole Chipotle bowl earlier, and I'm like feeling weird. All it takes is 1 or 2, 3 and outs to stop everything that the Chargers want to do.
Yeah.
You know where the ball's going to go. Maybe they bomb it a little bit to Jalen Guyton, Quentin Johnston, but he's going to MVS it. Like, it's funny how we all talk about the Chiefs drops and stuff like that, and it got all the attention off the Chargers and all of their drops too. That
they dropped so much.
Quentin Johnston dropping a wide open touchdown from like 60 yards down the field or whatever it would have ended up being. Right, Keenan Allen dropping stuff. It's bad there too. You got Brandon Staley going off on news reporters and stuff because he stinks and he doesn't know what he's doing as a head coach. But I am proud of what Brandon Staley's done for football because he opened up everybody's eyes to why it is advantageous to go for it on 4th downs, to not kick certain field goals from certain areas, or when you're at it, make a 1-score game, or get it to 8. Like, it doesn't change anything for you. Or you're down 14 and you score a touchdown, right? And you're down 8. You go for 2 at that point because if you get it, you have a 50-50 shot on average. I think that's the number. to get a 2-point conversion converted. So if you convert it, you're down to 6, you win with an extra point. If you don't, you just got to go get a 2-point conversion, 50-50 shot. Likelihood of you getting it the second time is more probable because now you've done it more than, or whatever like that. It's just math. Sorry, it's hard to explain, but it makes sense. But Brandon Staley brought that to the NFL and highlighted it for everybody, and it's probably what's going to get him in trouble with the Baltimore Ravens. So I'll take the Ravens to win on the road in LA. I don't know how many Baltimore Raven fans that'll be there. It is a far trip. I don't know if there's a cheap airline that goes from Southwest has Baltimore, and you can get down to Los Angeles with Southwest. So maybe Southwest Airlines gets a bunch of Baltimore Ravens fans in the stadium. But
I have a feeling it's going to be 50-50.
I almost feel like it's just Los Angeles fans change jerseys every week, right? Like it's just a house. Like who's on the schedule this week? Let me get 9 jerseys or something like that. Yeah. I'm going to all the games, like season ticket holders.
There was that Asian lady who was caught like in a Vikings jersey like years ago. Yeah. It was like, that went viral. Like maybe that is it, but I think it's just people flipping tickets.
Yeah.
Right. You buy it for 200, sell it for 300, whatever the price might be. Yeah. But going back to the well here, Baltimore 4th ranked offense, 2nd ranked defense in terms of efficiency or DVOA. Chargers have the 29th ranked defense, and Brandon Staley maybe another loss or two away from, hitting the streets. Joey Bosa, I think he's done. I think it's a Liz Frank, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Everyone's dropping the ball for LA, as Nate mentioned. I'm taking Baltimore. I think this will be a fun game. I think it'll be high scoring. I do think Baltimore will win, but I think it'll be fun because the Chargers are going to be throwing the ball all over the place trying to catch up. Yeah. And they have some dudes who can run down the field. So taking Baltimore, though, to win this one pretty easily. On the road. Final game here, Monday night, Chicago at Minnesota. The Vikings are favored at home by 3.5, over-unders at 45. What do you got?
I walked into Chipotle. For the audience, we played pickleball for a little over an hour today. And after I was like, I want to get a burger. Tony's like, I'm going to go get a burger. And I decided I was going to go to Chipotle. So I drove around. I ended up stumbling upon Chipotle, and I picked it because I was like, maybe that's a little better for me to eat because if you watch the recap episode, I split my pants. But there was a guy in a Minnesota Vikings jersey. I've never seen anybody here in Colorado with a Minnesota Vikings jersey. Maybe he went to the game last week, so he's wearing it or something like that, and he got something, early Christmas present. Maybe his birthday's in October, something like that. Great people have birthdays in Octobers. And it made me think, I'm going to pick the Minnesota Vikings because I saw a dude in a Vikings thing. Not really. I just never see anybody in Bears stuff because the Bears stink. They're on the bottom end of the NFL. Once again, someone on the Twitter machine is out there writing blasphemy posts / tweets about how, imagine if Justin Fields finally had a wide receiver 1, a true wide receiver 1, which I'm pretty sure was comedy because I think he does have one. But, Cole Kmet. But that Cole Kmet's not going to do anything against the Minnesota Vikings. Josh Dobbs played well. He got smoked. He had a fumble that shouldn't have been a fumble because it was a penalty on a hit. And now the guy's suspended for 4 weeks or whatever like that for the helmet-to-helmet contact thing launching at Josh Dobbs. I think that if Minnesota goes up with a touchdown on that first drive, they beat the Denver Broncos pretty handily. They ended up not doing it, and they're going to take it out on the Chicago Bears to remind them, you're still the Chicago Bears. I don't care that we have a guy who's been on 4 teams, and he wasn't good enough to be on the Browns because they got DTR and PJ Walker and all that kind of stuff. So he gets traded or sent to Arizona, and they're like, you know what? We got another guy. You can just go over here in Minnesota, and the only team that's going to make the playoffs is going to be the Minnesota Vikings out of all of them. So give me the Minnesota Vikings. Monday Night Football. It's Christmas season. There might be some little flurries there in Minnesota. Maybe someone will cut a hole in the roof, and we get some snow inside that stadium. But I'll take the Vikings to win this game.
Cole Kmet as the wide receiver. What? Not a receiver. Where did he go to college?
Very prestigious university. I don't know if you ever heard about it. It's been around for a millennia. So Define University of Notre Dame.
Okay, that explains it. Minnesota did get the loss at Mile High last week, but Denver has evolved into, dare I say, a good football team.
A juggernaut.
So chalk that up. No, don't go that far. So chalk that one up as a respectable loss for Minnesota. The Bears defend the run well to the tune of the second-ranked run defense, but maybe some of that has to do with teams don't really have to force the issue with them. But Minnesota's likely getting Justin Jefferson back. I think he's practicing. I'm not sure if he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
They ran the ball very well against Denver. If they would have just kept running, I feel like they would have won that game. They look very competent, though, these last 2 weeks without Justin Jefferson and with Dobbs under center. So even if Justin's not there, I am also taking Minnesota to win this game. On the week for totals, to get to 1 unit of profit for each correctly picked game we're wagering. We've been doing this all year. I'll be wagering 35 units. We have 16 games this week. No one's on bye. Everybody's got to play. Nate is going to be wagering 35.3 units. So very similar, even though we have 3 picks, I believe, that we are on opposing ends of. Moving on now to the best bets for week 12. We went player props here last week, Nate. What are we thinking for this week?
I am going to go with the Detroit Lions, and they're going to cover the 7.5 tomorrow.
Okay.
Look, we're just going to get our win out of the way. First thing in the morning, feel good about the rest of the day. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your time. Drink a bunch of booze. Eat some tamales. Whatever you want to do on the day. Detroit Lions are going to cover the 7.5. In week 1, while the Green Bay Packers were fully healthy, they had a guy named Aaron Jones running the ball for them. They were only allowed to run the ball. I say allowed because that's all they got out of it. And this is at Lambeau 12 times in the game, right? They're not going to be able to run the ball against the Detroit Lions this week, and they're not good at passing the ball. And I think that the Lions are going to put a stomping on them. And you look at this last game, they were up 27-3 at the half, and they won 34-20 because like every game in the NFL, when teams are up really big in the halftime, they're just trying to get out of the game. It's been a common thing. Unders in the second halves are hitting at an erroneous rate, especially team total unders in second halves for teams that are winning by 2 scores. So they seem to take their foot off the brakes. But I don't worry about Jordan Love being a backdoor cover guy. He's not as good as Blake Bortles. He's not as good as Jake Cutler. He's not as good as any of those type of guys to be able to backdoor cover for a living. The Detroit Lions, first game, Thanksgiving, they beat the crap out of them. They go home to their families, and the Green Bay Packers have to take a flight back home that night.
All right,
you can get that at Caesars for 110.
Yep. Oh, Caesars. Nice. For my best bet, I'm taking the under in the Kansas City-Las Vegas game. It's set at 44.5. And the Chiefs on the year, they've gone under 80% of the time. So why it's that high with the Raiders not really doing much on offense, I have no idea. Doesn't make any sense. Chiefs are 2-8 there at the time of recording these notes against basically the over. Their total is also nearly 10 under on average what the line has been set at all season. And both these teams are running the ball at a high level and or scoring fewer points than in previous years. Las Vegas, worth noting here, 2-9 against the over, scoring 6 points on average under their total. So yeah, this seems like a pretty easy one. So it's probably going to hit the over, but the under is minus 110 over at FanDuel. If you are interested.
For reference, the Raiders played the Miami Dolphins last week, and the Dolphins have kind of a pretty decent offense, right?
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 20-13 was the end score, 33. I would take the Miami Dolphins to score more points on any team than the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. All right. Best bets are in. All our picks are in. That'll about do us for Nate. For us, Nate. Got any final thoughts before we close this thing out?
Thanks for listening. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you have a good time. Put your trees up if you don't have them up. Put your lights up on your house. It's time for Christmas season. It's the holiday season. And oop-de-doo, hickory dock. That's one of my favorite songs, man. It's so damn good. It's so damn good. Enjoy the parade. You're probably watching this, and got a headphone in while you're watching the parade with your family. Your old lady's probably bitching because you're not helping out with some cranberry sauce or whatever it may be that she wants you to make, or stuffing the turkey right, or it's not taking long, or you're frying it in 20-degree weather outside while it's snowing and frosty. but enjoy it. We only got a
I
couple of these left on this planet, right? Like, you think about it,
yeah.
all the days, you're only going to have probably like 50 or 60 more of these Thanksgivings. Like, just enjoy it. 60 times to do whatever you do, and definitely argue about politics with your family.
Always fun. Thank you guys for tuning in, whether it is on YouTube or in podcast form. We do appreciate it. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, like all the above. Tell your dad to watch us on YouTube. That's for Nate.
Yep.
We'll return with Nate's recap of Week 12. Nate's going to have someone fill in for me because I will have been drinking, tailgating, freezing my ass off watching the Broncos and Browns score 11 points combined Sunday. And then we'll have the Week 13 preview as well next week. Until then, stay safe. Good luck with your fantasy and sports betting endeavors. Most importantly, happy Thanksgiving. The banger of the week for this week is Adam Sandler's Thanksgiving song. For Nate, I'm Tony. Love you, bye.
No banger of the love you, bye.
You got to include it.